Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Thursday, the 19th of October 2023. We'll be breaking down charts and show the exact zones where price will close for potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So looking at the daily candle for Wednesday, so the daily tried to break above the previous daily high, which is the Tuesday daily high, respected this daily resistance and now more likely will be closing bearish. Now early on the week we've explained how we could potentially see price rejecting the upside, as we've had the last weekly candle closing week bearish rejecting the upside. So within this rejection we've had a daily resistance, and as we can see, price failed to retest this daily resistance, so the probability for price to continue bearish becomes really high, especially after this daily candle failed to break above this daily resistance. So now to break down the chart and looking at the daily more likely will be closing bearish, respecting the daily resistance formed on Tuesday. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, and what we can say here is we have the most recent 4-hour support formed on the left around 180 as 181,700. The most recent 4-hour resistance formed around 182,540. Drop it down to the hourly time frame, and now we have an hourly support around 181,790. We have a new level of resistance around 182,230. Drop it down to the 30-minute time frame, and now we have a new level of resistance. So the level of support remains the same, but the level of resistance, we have this 30-minute resistance around 182,040. But this is a really small range to consider this as a no trade zone. But let's have a look on a 50-minute time frame. So on a 50-minute time frame, we have a same level of resistance as well. So now to identify the no trade zone, and I'd say potential buys, I would say ideally is to wait for price to break and close above 182,230 for potential buys, and potential sells could be, let's have a look on the 4-hour time frame. Now we do have this 4-hour support around 181,700. Looking at the hourly, that's basically waiting for price to break out of this range. So I'd say potential sells could potentially be below 181,700, and this is going to be the no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys, and the reason why I'm not really paying much attention to this hourly resistance, or let's say, is because when looking on a 4-hour time frame, for example, we have a 4-hour resistance. So I'm just going to pay attention to the high time frame for a bit. Now, going back to the daily, and the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to look for potential buys. So looking at the monthly is flipping bearish. Looking at the weekly time frame, the weekly is retracing, but the daily time frame, we have a daily resistance formed recently around 182,650. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a decent 4-hour resistance around 182,720. Looking at the hourly time frame, we have an hourly resistance, and that's the same thing on the 5-minute time frame. And I know we do have this hourly resistance as well around 182,460, but the anticipation here is if the new daily candle flips bullish, the anticipation is to see price retesting this daily resistance again. So I'd say the first target for buys could potentially be 182,720, targeting this 4-hour resistance, which is also the daily resistance formed recently. Obviously, as price approach this hourly resistance, maybe we could see a slight rejection or a retracement. That way we can manage risk accordingly. And I'd say the second target for buys, now let's have a look again. So obviously this is a rejection on a weekly. Dropping down to the daily time frame, we have a daily resistance around 183,540. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have this previous 4-hour support around 183,320. Looking at the hourly time frame, zooming in and looking on the left, and what do we see? We have this previous 1-hour support around 183,670. This is one of the targets we've had on yesterday's analysis. And then we're dropping down to the 30-minute time frame. Now we have a 30-minute resistance. So now I'm going to adjust it. So yesterday's analysis, we've had potential buys around 183,290 to 280, targeting this previous 1-hour support. But now since the daily candle for Wednesday failed to break above this daily resistance, the second target for buys, we need to compromise it a little bit more now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have a second target for buys at this 30-minute resistance that was formed around 183,130. And now to look for potential sells, and going back to the daily. So the first thing we can see on the daily here is we have a daily rejection. But now the daily On a daily, we have the daily candle for Tuesday closing bearish, forming daily resistance, and Wednesday daily candle more likely will be closing bearish as well. So looking at the monthly time frame, the weekly, the first thing we can see is we can see where the weekly candle has started around 181.310. Drop it down to the daily, that's the daily support formed recently. Drop it down to the 4 hour time frame. And now we have this 4 hour support around 181.460. Looking at the hourly time frame, and we have this rejection. And obviously we do have some sort of a range on the left within the 30-minute time frame. I'd probably stick again to the high time frame, and I'd say the first target for sells could potentially be 181.460, targeting the 4 hour support, which is also the daily support formed recently. The second target for sells now, let's have a look again. So we have the weekly low formed around 181.020, dropping down to the daily. This is a daily rejection that was formed on Tuesday around 181.020 as well. Dropping down to the 4 hour time frame, we have a previous 4 hour support area, and we also have this previous 4 hour resistance. But I would mainly focus on the most recent price action. So I'd say the second target for sells could be 181.020, targeting a daily wick fill that was formed within this rejection. We're targeting a daily wick fill within the daily candle that was formed on Tuesday this week.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.